whether you want to sell them a product, whether you want them to help you dig ditches. If they're not buying the thing that you're selling, then the thing that you're selling is terrible in their eyes. What do you guys think about that?
No, that's not true.
It's
That
not
just means
true?
you're a bad marketer.
Ooh, that could be it as well. You're not reaching them. Okay.
Nate
So,
stole my words.
yes. So
At the end of the
that's
day,
a
you
good
do have to have a
clarification.
good thing to sell, but at the same time, it is possible to sell a rock and advertise it as a pet.
Yep. That's true. Yes, there's many people with these pet rocks. That's excellent.
Pictures of pet rocks.
What do you guys think is the thing that so right now we're selling our words to whomsoever might be watching us right now. I think last I saw we had 10 live viewers or 8 live viewers. Looks like my brother's about to join. We've got Aloha, brother. I'll get to you here in a second. I'm going to finish my thought. Um, what are the things that we here at the DGen Roundtable, we're selling a little bit of entertainment, we're selling a little bit of value, we're selling a little bit of like our opinions and things like that. But what are some of the things in this world that you guys sell on like an individual level to like to like your friends, your family, your coworkers, your employers, like prospective people that you want to meet? When you meet someone and you want them to like you as a person, or you want them to buy a thing that you're vending, what are some tools and techniques that you guys use to help get people on your team, on Team Zenith, on Team Farmer J, on Team Mrs. McGettit, on Team Sam, on Team Nate,
I
on
sell
Team
them a
Will?
dream.
I was gonna say I sound like the like Santa naming off like the reindeer here. So we're the we're all the reindeer for the DGen sleigh, baby. So think about that question. While you guys are thinking about that question, I'm gonna go ahead and introduce our fourth panelist. This is my lovely brother Sam, Bungalows for Bachelors. Aloha, Sam. Welcome to the panel. What is new and exciting with you, broski?
Hello, bro. Good to see all of y'all. Nothing, actually, that's not true. There's always something new and exciting. We've got our
Mhm.
cookbook released. You guys ought to get a copy. I don't have a copy with me, but Will does. And man, that's the big number. I'm going to be driving across the country in a few days here, and we're going to see where that takes me.
Mhm.
That's what I got.
Excellent. What did you think about chapter 4? What was your favorite or most memorable or least favorite, or what was something that stuck out to you about chapter 4, Money Sci-Fi? Do you have anything to put
I
you on
do
the
not.
spot? You do not? Okay, that is
Nope.
perfectly fine. We'll go through the quotes and we'll think about things. So my previous question to everybody, thinking about sales, when you're interacting with people and you're selling things, what are some tools and techniques that you guys use to help get people to buy the thing that you're selling, to get them on your team, to get them working with you rather than being your enemies? Because we're all about love and friendship and kindness rather than hatred and war when we need to be. Anyways, Nate, looks like you got something, bro. I see your mute thing going on and off.
Yeah.
What's up?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I gotta lead a team of people who don't want to be at their job usually. So, what I mean, I do kind of sell a dream, but the tool that I mainly use is information gathering.
Okay.
I do that by simply asking some mundane small talk questions, right? And then people love to talk about themselves. And so once you just kind of like get them talking, get them rolling in a nice, comfortable situation, then they just go on and on and on and on. You can kind of figure out who the person is in general, what motivates them, what drives them. You can do that all within, I would say, probably like at least I can, 5 to 10 minutes. I can kind of figure out, okay, this is this type of person. Gotcha. And at that point in time, then I try and integrate that with not necessarily what the company's dream is. No, no, no. What is it that they would want? Right.
Hmm.
And then I integrate that with like, well, here's the reason why you're going to want to be trying hard at the branch that we're at right now. Not even the company. Who cares about the company? Because you don't care about the company. I don't care about the company. But where we're at right here, right now. And the overall result is that, we hit number one branch, and then we hold that to the point where the higher ups are like, what are you doing? Like, how are you doing this? How are you breaking records over here? Well, it's because of that. You kind of sell them a dream, right?
Like building a team, like a league of extraordinary gentlemen, one might say. That's it. I like that. I like that. Holy smokes! That man, I had a thought. You were talking about meeting people and asking them about themselves, right? Can you kind of repeat that? I had a thing on the tip of my head.
Yeah. So when you meet people, you just ask them a little small talk, or you just get them to small talk, and then they love talking about themselves. And
Mhm.
so then they'll continue to talk and talk and talk, and you gather information based on that. After however much time it takes you to kind of figure the person out, like what drives them, what motivates them, then yeah, you can start integrating. You can start integrating what they want, their desires, into what your desires and what your wants are, and you
Oh,
can
okay.
come
Yeah,
together that way. You know?
that's what it was. Yes. So like you try so you fig because this reminds me back to like what Hormozy was talking about earlier is like when you've got a person that like if you're a gym owner, the person doesn't want to buy the gym membership. They want to like be fit and be healthy. And so like you learn about them, you learn what their things are that they want, and then you're like, aha, well don't you worry, because the thing that I've got is the thing that will help you get to like I'm just a checkpoint on the way of you driving down the road to success. Like you need to stop at this refuel tank and take some of my magic gasoline that'll get you where you're going fastest, or something along those lines. That is excellent. I like it. I like it. Does anyone else have any other thoughts on good sales techniques? It looks like Sam has something here. Go ahead, brother Sam.
I just want to layer on top of what Nate already said, and that like it's really important when you're trying to sell somebody something that you got to know what they want, where they're at in their
Mhm.
life, right? You want to determine their primary driver emotion, and um, you know, basically, like you said, is like once you get somebody rolling and get somebody talking about themselves, then you're gonna be able to know or just we all do it, hope theoretically every day. I mean, if you go outside and touch grass, um, and so when you get to meet somebody, you can get to practice asking those questions and figuring out what the things are that they like, and then practice asking really good questions framed around the thing that they like, and really like getting them to like expose their angles on everything, so that both so that you can get to know them better if you're trying to sell them something, but
Mhm.
also to figure out if what you're about to sell them is not actually helpful. And then it's
Yeah,
like, okay, well, then it becomes an ethical thing. Like, oh, well, shoot, maybe this thing isn't for you, but maybe there's some other thing you've got that is, or whatever. But yeah, I just want to say, like Nate hit on the head.
there's a thing that Grant Cardone talks about from time to time. It's something about like sell me a glass of water, or Jordan Belfort did the sell me this pen thing, and like the thing that I remember from that is, does the person need the thing that you're selling? And so like if you go through this whole fucking sales pitch, and I get this all the time from all those freaking scammers on Facebook and the scammers on Instagram and the scammers on Telegram, they're always like, "Hey bro, how's it going?" And then they build this stupid little rapport, and then they launch out on their like little sales. I was just dealing with one earlier today. I love wasting their time. That's a guilty pleasure that I have, is I string these guys along, and then I just waste their time because that makes me happy. It wastes my time as too, or wastes my time a little bit too, but I'm getting entertainment value out of it. But anyways, they go through this whole like little spiel, and then it's like they never did like the first thing, which is find out if I have a need that is like for the product thing that they're selling. Like they all meet the cold call criteria. They're all doing the outreach, but they're not bothering to find out if like their prospects are interested in the things that they want. And like Nate and Sam, like what you were saying, the most important thing is to figure out like what does the other person want? What are their goals? How can we like cast a nice little spell around the things that they want, and integrate that with like what we're providing and what we're giving and what we're selling and things like that. So that was super cool. Zenith, it looks like you got something. You've come off mute, my friend. What do
Do
you
you
got?
mind if I just add on real quick, a real small thing?
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Because I wanted to talk about the whole like sell me this pen thing, right?
Okay.
If you ever get put in a position like that, someone like me is going to be like, "Cool, yeah, I'll sell you this later." Anyways, so and then I'm gonna and tell me about this, tell me about that. Once you figure out the person, and be like, "Anyways, yeah, so we're getting back to selling you the pen, right?" And then I can use that information to sell them the pen.
mm, okay. That's interesting. I've not heard that, but that's a neat perspective. I'm gonna have to try that someday. I don't sell people a lot of pens, but give that a shot. Zenith, what do you got?
I was going to talk about the sell me the pen concept. There's two ways that people either know this concept. The first one is from the book Way of the Wolf, which we talked about previously, and the great story of him in the diner, and he's trying to get the boys together to form the sales team. And he says, "Hey, sell me this pen." And the first question the guy asks is like, "You trying to buy a pen?" He says, "No." And he says, "Cool, I'm not trying to sell to people. They're not trying to buy." It's like, yeah, that makes complete sense. There's no sense beating your head into a wall if you don't have to.
Yep.
The other one is from the movie when he has there's the two scenes. The first one is in the diner, which we just talked about, but the last one is that conference that he talks to, and Jordan Belfort, or in this case Leonardo DiCaprio, is like trying to get people to sell him the pen. And it's just clear that so many people just don't understand sales and don't have that killer instinct that he tries to instill in people. So if you are a person that can do sales, like Richard Hart talks about in the book, getting into sales is unlocking your earning cap. At the same time, though, it does put everything on you. And you are going to be limited by the things that you're potentially selling and then the markets that you operate inside of. However, at the same time, it does allow you to go exponential instead of just building that W-2 slip step by step by step.
I think it also depends on the individual. There's just some people that are just basically they can speak a lot of bullshit coming out of their mouth. They're like the guys that have game piece or whatever, mouthpiece, whatever you want to call it. They're very good at words and manipulation and stuff and lying to you and get you to buy stuff you don't need. There's people that are just naturally like that. And then there's people that have to work at it.
To give you a little more on that one, I think that this idea has definitely been proliferated throughout kind of modern society, which is that if you just say a lot of words, you're doing well. It's like, yeah, you can say a lot of nonsense at the same time. You're just saying nonsense. But what you're talking about is that there are some people that just have it. They just talk and they have that silver tongue, and just people listen, get convinced, and they can sell for sure. You can learn these skills. However, at the same time, I think sometimes we get a little tripped up with that, just believing that by saying more words or saying buzzwords and hitting and saying metrics in your corporate call, it's like, cool, unless you actually know what you're talking about and how to properly use that, it's like you're saying nothing and you're wasting time.
Yeah.
So
unfortunately, like the book points this out too, that like these scammers, like unfortunately the people that have these skills, they usually they don't really try, so they end up being scammers instead of actually applying that to other things where they can actually be legitimately successful. Like, and instead of doing that, they'll just go into the scamming, while they could just utilize that skill that they already have into a legitimate purpose, but they'll just go the easy route, and then the government comes steals their money.
Yeah, Farmer J, you brought up a great point, which is one of the quotes that I wrote down from the chapter was Richard talking about the scammers. He's like, if the person selling you is doing much more outreach than you are the other way, there's a very high likelihood you're getting scammed.
Yeah, like people that cheat at school. Like if some of these people put that much effort into actually studying as to how much they put into cheating, like you would actually pass without having to cheat.
Yeah, crazy how much people are willing to do extra work to not do the original work per se.
It's like it almost reminds me of the I don't know if it really the Pareto principle really applies. That's another thing that Richard talks about, is that like you want to try and find so ooh, don't be the person who speaks a lot but say very little. Your words are valuable. There's a fun quote on that, Agent J. The oh shoot, how does it go? It's like a wise man, or like a fool can be thought to be wise by saying nothing, and like a wise man can thought to be a fool by saying too much, or something along those lines, where it's like know when to hold your tongue and know when to let the tongue wag. It's very important. That's
That
excellent.
Yeah,
people don't know you're
fool.
actually stupid till you start speaking. So
Yeah.
Yeah. That the fool talks, the wise man listens, or
Yes.
waits to speak, I should say.
Yep. That's another
But yeah,
quote that's
no,
in there.
Jay is absolutely 100% right. I have, my God, I've had to teach this over and just drill it into my guy's head at work, right? We do upsells, right? And every single time I'm like, keep it simple, stupid. These guys are out here talking for like 30 minutes. They're like, oh, I didn't close the sale. Meanwhile, I took a text message and I'm
Yep.
getting sales. You know, they asked me,
Yep.
what's the price? $30 added. Boom. Easy peasy, right?
Yep.
You don't
We're
need to
already
get
spending the money.
exactly. And just get it out there and go, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, and people appreciate that. People appreciate their time being saved more so, I think, than they fret about the money most often. At least the good customers. That leads me into my next point. And Sam, you and I were talking about this last night. Is there's this is, Richard has a little bit of a different approach to like the Pareto principle, which is generally that 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, or like 80% of the X, Y, and Z is done by like the other 20%. 80% of the or shoot, fucking most of the work is done by the 20%. I'm getting all tripped up in my thoughts here. Um, where was I going with this? No, I'm going to take it a different direction. I'm going to pull this other quote here because I totally lost where I was going. It is easier to make money helping. Okay, that's what it was. Helping a lot of people a little bit than it is to help a few people a whole lot. That was one of the things that I thought was very interesting. And I think that there's kind of like a little bit of a nuanced disagreement that I'm going to have with it, but I want to open it up to the panel first. When you're when you're thinking about doing business with people, are you thinking you want to change the world a little bit for a shit ton of people, or are you thinking that I want to reach a few people and I want to make a big fucking difference? Do you guys have any preference when it comes to this particular line of reasoning? I think Richard's approaching it from a more business mentality. Sam, it looks like you are about to come off mute there. What do you got?
You are
Unless
correct,
you're
sir. I was both waiting and correct. Um, but I do have something to add to this. So before I lose my train of thought, what was the question again?
the question was regarding, is it better to, like, do you think it's better
Oh, that's
to
right. Okay.
target people?
So because of the combination of books that I've read, and I think that we've all read on this book club, it seems to me more valuable to affect a few people's lives, like especially from a business perspective. Like if I want to make money and I'm starting a business and I'm just me, if I find a few people who have a lot of money that are willing to give me a lot of value for a small piece of what I'm doing, that is more valuable to me than having to basically solve a scaled problem for a lot of people. Um, and it just seems like a more effective way to, like, your concentrated focus. You're gonna be able to solve the problem better. It has everything to do with like the grand slam offer from $100 million offers, right? The being able to like really provide the most amount of value is gonna you're gonna extract like way more money out of the situation if you're providing an extreme amount of value than just like solving a problem by selling like a new vacuum or the cheapest vacuum or whatever to a bunch of people. It just seems like a better solution. And when you scale to try to target thousands or millions of people, there are a lot of extra complications that come along with that that I would particularly like to avoid. So it seems like in terms of business, that's would be the way to do it.
Well, truthfully, it's actually both. Because with what you said there, Sam is correct, right? You can have a very valuable thing, but a lot less of it, right? And therefore, you get a lot more people who are willing to spend a lot more money, right? Or you can go the direction of, like, say, a McDonald's or a Walmart, right? Where you can have a lot of something with a lot of customers, but the lot of customers have little money. However, your scaling at that point is able to then create the same size business. So they're two different business, what do you call it? Just two different directions that you can take a business. And that's ultimately where you get, like, are you kind of an in-between business that's like, say, like quality and quantity, or are you just like, it's all quantity, just throw it all out there, get everything done as fast as possible, and but everything's super cheap? Or are you this, like, I'm all about the details, very high quality, but I'm also super expensive, and but I also can't, take up a lot of my time, or I can't make a lot of the products very quickly because of how high quality these things are, right? It's all a sliding scale on business. So which one would you rather, like, which one would you rather, or which one is the best way to go? That's up to you. Would you rather have would you rather have, Ferrari, right? Or would you rather, make like high end, like a BMW, right? Or would you rather make a Toyota? you
One
know
Ferrari or 10 Toyotas?
yeah,
Bro, we
yep.
could pull the DGen roundtable sleigh with 10 Toyotas, and each one of us would be driving a Toyota, and we'd be pulling the DGen. Oh man, how fun would that be? I want to quickly throw out a chat shout out here to Kenturian54X. He's answered the question himself. I'd prefer helping. Good job on the quick trigger finger there, Mrs. Producer. I like it. I'd prefer helping fewer people a lot than helping everyone a little. Giving 1 million person $1 or give 10 people $100,000. And I think that there's certainly a nuance to it. And I'm inclined to agree from the perspective. Aloha, Russ. I'm inclined to agree from the perspective of like like doing more meaningful work for a few people that are important rather than doing trivial work for lots of people. And I think that one of the things that comes into play here when we're discussing this line of reasoning from Richard is Richard has stated many times that he's in this for the glory. He wants to change the world. So it makes sense that his perspective would be he wants to do a little bit of good for basically everybody rather than do a lot of good for a like select few group of people or something like that. I just judging by the words that he's said many times over is that he wants to be loved by everyone more or less. And so if he can change a billion people's lives or 200,000 people's lives or yada yada yada, if he can change a large number of people's lives, then that would make more sense than him just basically like trying to do work for like a single millionaire or a single billionaire and trying to like get all the value out of them and just only have one working relationship. And I do think this is something that we had talked about last night, Sam, and forgive me if I'm repeating it, but you had mentioned when you were first in business, there was a portion where so you had a whole bunch of like you have high quality customers and you have like normal customers, and you have to like differentiate when you're going like, at a certain period of time when a business is first starting. It's better to focus on everybody and get as much business as possible to like make revenue to keep the place afloat. But then after a certain while, when like the demand starts getting crazy and you have to start like narrowing your focus to like how many problems am I going to be able to solve, like which customers are the better ones to work for, that's when you would that's I like ideally what I remember you saying is that you would want to shift your focus towards the 20%, like the highest, the best customers, right? Something along those lines. Am I saying that correctly, Sam?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like you want to focus on the guys that are providing 80% of your revenue. Typically, that's only 20% of your customers.
Yeah. Yep. You focus on the big ticket players, and that's like from a financial perspective, which different from like going for glory, kind of like what Richard's doing. Does anyone have any final thoughts? Mrs. McGettit, you've been quiet over there. Do you have any thoughts on this topic, or I'm going to hop on over to another quote? Zenith, I see you've come off mute. I'll toss it over to you if Mrs. McGettit doesn't have anything. Mrs. McGettit?
The only thing I really had to add is I think that you're completely right. The way that we would view this would really depend on our goals, and since Richard's goal is on a larger scale, I think that's why he would do it the way he would. Whereas it seems at least a few of us here would prefer the opposite, and that's where I'm at too. For me, it kind of goes back to the idea of keep your circle small. I think you'd get a lot more appreciation and personal value from having just a smaller collection of people that you're able to, really help and really focus on versus trying to save everyone, that kind of idea. So I think what you said was pretty much perfect. His wanting to be loved by everybody really influences his perspective on this, whereas it seems most of us are kind of on the more so towards that opposite end.
Excellent. I like it. Zenith, you've come off mute. What do you got? Anything to add on to that one?
I have, yeah. Actually, Mrs. McGetta has a great point, which is that it does kind of feel like Richard Hart wants to be loved by everyone, and I think that comes off in his writing a little bit. It's talking about these ways to make everyone happy and how you have beautiful utopia and the most possible happiness and wealth everywhere, and it kind of ties back into that very utilitarian idea, which is that we are trying to promote happiness to the maximum number of people, so that we create the most possible happiness total. And it's definitely one way to interpret what he says. And in particular, when it comes to the sales idea of either selling big to a few number of people or selling small to a large number of people, I think to go back to my point earlier, being that I think this is one of those ideas that on the surface level, it makes sense. And it's very kind of like one dimensional or one level, because if you get deeper into it, then you actually start unboxing the idea and unpacking all the complications and the specifics about it. Because if you look at a lot of business stuff out there, there's plenty of people who have services which helps people reach wider and larger audiences because they struggle with that. This idea in of itself of selling a little bit to a large number of people is actually in contrast to the ideas that we got from $100 million offers, which is that Alex Ramosi was talking about there's riches and niches. You want to be as hyper niche as possible so you can charge the most amount of money. That's the exact opposite of what Richard's saying in this case, which is that he's proposing the idea that theoretically, selling a small thing to a large number of people makes the most sense. However, at the same time, once you start operating at scale, you will start running into issues, with distribution, creation, and also marketing. Because when it comes to the services that people provide for reaching wider audiences, it is you started off with a hyper niche group of people you're selling to, then you expanded to a niche, and now you're trying to make that leap to a final general audience. And that's where you're going to have a lot of struggles. So I think it was Grant Cardone that actually brought up this idea as well. But it's the idea of like how to actually physically make $1 million. When you break down the numbers and think about it, there's a couple ways to do it. It's like, okay, cool. You want to make $1 million in sales. If you sell 10 times, that means you have to sell $100,000 in product each time. Or if you want to sell to 1,000 people, that means you only have to sell $1,000 at a time. And then if you want to get even more detailed than that, you're like, all right, what if I want to build a group of 100 people that I sell to a product with a quarterly recurring cost? Well, now you're down to about a $2,500 ticket. And then additionally, if you wanted to get even further down, it's like, yeah, I could sell 1,000 people to a monthly subscription where they pay $83.33. Over the year, that's $1 million in sales. So it's having the goal and then understanding your avenue to get there, which is another one of the things he talks about, which is the idea of the product in your head. Now work backwards on how to create that thing. There's multiple ways to get to the result that you want. However, at the same time, it's not going to be as straightforward as sell this $5 hamburger to 1 million people. So I think that this is that area where you have to dive below the surface level. And I think that's where like Alex Ramosi does a fantastic job at that, because he actually takes this kind of like conventional knowledge and flips it on its head. And then guess who actually has probably more sales under their belt, if I had to guess? Is it Richard Hart or is it Alex Ramosi? I'm going to go with the buff guy on this one.
Yep. Yeah, I would think. I'm totally inclined to agree with you that that Hormozy's probably got a lot more figured out. I mean, they're solving different problems, right? Hormozy
for sure.
and Richard. But I would say
Is-
that Hormozy's probably got more sales. He's probably got more $100 million offers.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Is Richard's
that
idea
scale,
correct on the theoretical scale? Yes. However, we operate in reality and not in the sandbox environment on your computer. You got to be able to deal with the intricacies of real life, because once you start dealing with a massive customer base, guess what? You're going to get a lot more feedback and a lot more signal, or not a lot more noise with your signal that you get back. And that's when you start running into less than optimal players, people trying to scam you, doing like fraud, bad payments, all sorts of stuff. The more people you deal with, the more single instances of failure you're creating. However, at the same time, conversely, if you have a fewer number of people in your customer base, it means that each one of those customers is that much more important.
You know, one thing that pops up a lot once you start going through all these books is every single person who writes one of these is selling you the idea that worked for them. So the problem with that is, does that mean it works for you? No.
Yeah.
No. So when when you have so much information, it's the problem with, you know, data overload, right? When you have so much information, what is it that you choose for yourself? You know, how is this actionable, you know, for you? Well, what you're able to do at that point is you're able to set up different tiers, right? Or different methods. And you can sit there and like kind of like lay them out on the table and be like, okay, here's my business. What would benefit my business more? Pick whatever ones you think is going to benefit it the best. Shove the other ones aside. Don't even think about those. And then be like, okay, out of all of these now, what's the best way for me as a person? Like, what am I best at? And then how, you know, could I make this happen to my business to have it be successful? And then maybe get like 3 options out of like the 20 different ways that you can do business out there, right? That's how you do that. That's how it's actionable. And then you just pick one and you run with it.
I like that.
I wanted to say, didn't Richard kind of, correct me if I'm wrong here, didn't Richard bring that up too, that people when they're selling you these books, they're selling you, he said something about like they're selling you what didn't work for them,
Yes.
and what worked for them was selling you that thing that didn't work for them.
Yep. They're
The
telling
old
you the
idea
thing,
of
the past.
when you're in the gold rush, you don't make money mining gold. You make money selling pickaxes.
Yep. Yep.
Very
And,
good
and
point.
like this is one of the things that I think about on like when Fresh and Fit brings on all these like different entrepreneurs. It's like, oh, here's a guy that does ATM vending. Oh, here's a guy that opens up subways. Oh, here's a guy that does like real estate wholesaling. Oh, here's a guy that does, this, that, or the other thing. YouTube, fuck, what is it? YouTube automated video creation. It's like, oh, here's all these cool things that like you can use to break out of the rat race. And it's like, these guys are selling a course. That's what they're doing. These bastards. I mean, they're trying to sneak a
Yeah.
fastener on me, but they ain't gonna catch. Go ahead, Mrs. McGettit.
I wanted to add in, it kind of made me, when he brought that up, it kind of made me think about Robert Kiyosaki, because I think he mentioned during his book that he tried a bunch of different business endeavors that did not really work out until he started selling his book and selling the course on how to make money. So that's
Yep.
almost exactly what Richard was kind of mentioning there. I don't know that Kiyosaki is selling us something that didn't work for him. That's not what I'm trying to say. But at the same time, he is selling a course on how to make money, and that's how he made his money. So
Mhm.
when you really stop to think about it, it's kind of like, oh, that's a little bit ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, to double down on your point, Mrs. Producer, it reminds me back of the story from Rich Dad Poor Dad when he sits down with that journalist who has like multiple master's degree, done a lot of studies and stuff, and then he points to her notes on the notepad where he's like, "This is why you're interviewing me." And it's because she wrote down in double underline best-selling author. He's like, "I don't have the best ideas necessarily, but I'm selling them the best."
Yep. I
Yeah,
saw
she was
best.
so offended by that. And it
Rather
really does go
butthurt.
show you it's a little bit of a mentality thing, because she was like, I'm not going to be a seller, I'm a writer. And he's like, yeah, you're a much better writer than me. So
Or you
sell your
better sell
writing.
it.
And then
Yep.
she just like was furious.
That was a good. That was a good.
she had more degrees than a thermometer. They were worthless.
Oh my god. I'm gonna do a hard. I'm gonna do a hard transition here. And this one didn't kind of make sense, but this one was super fun. All right, this is a direct quote. If you can't hold hands with a girl, you can't kiss her. If you can't have a conversation with a girl, then you can't hold her hands. I forgot what the context was for this quote. I think he was talking about like do the stuff in the correct order, like work back from your dream and then get up to where you're at now. And then like he applied it to business, basically being like you have to start from like where you want to go. So obviously we want to be like collecting kisses from girls and things. But before we collect the kisses from girls, we have to hold their hand. Before we hold their hand, we have to be talking to them. If we never get to the point of talking to them, if we can never attract them in the first place, then like we don't get to the then like we don't get to that. So the thing that I want to bring up next is like the correct order for starting businesses. We imagine where we want to be, we think about what are the steps that we need to be to get there, and then we apply this fun sticky principle of kissing girls and things. Is that quote in the SJ version?
Oh,
Zenith,
it
Yeah.
it
sure
is.
is. That's
Oh,
one
that
of the
was.
great quotes. Just remember, boys, we're out here in the hand holding business.
Yep, we're out here in the
First and
hand holding
foremost.
business.
Nowadays, you don't even need to hold their hands, bro.
Yep. You
I
just it's all about the TikToks and things. But no, I think that it's a lost art, but I want to keep this like sort of kind of structured towards the business and structured towards the like the concept of like you do things in the right order, like and like I was lamenting this with like the scammer sales guys on Telegram and Facebook and Twitter and shit, where it's like they show up, they say, "Hey, how's it going, bro?" Like blah da da, and they're like, "How was your day been?" Like, "What's up?" And then they say, "Hey, here's this website. Like, you should click on my product." And it's like, "No, bro, you can't just freaking like, you can't just. You got to take me out to dinner first. You got to wine me and dine me. Like, come on, bro, run me through the sales thing." But oh shoot, where was I going with that? There's the proper orders for businesses and things. Zenith, it looks like you're unmuted. Take it away.
Oh, I
Uh-huh.
was just going to try to assist you, saying we hold hands to kiss. We build
Yes.
businesses to potentially sell. At the same time, though, you're not going to build a business until you actually like go through the steps and figure out how to get there. It's very easy to think about your end game per se, but until you actually get through the early and the mid game, you're never going to get there. So stop wasting time and go do the work.
Yeah, and the point of the business is to like help people. That's another thing that okay, that's where I'm going to take this. The point of the business is to help people. You receive more serving others than you do serving yourself. So the point from that quote was you want to find a way that you can solve other people's problems in such a manner that you enjoy rather than solving your own problems. When you're solving your own problems of employment, you're going and you're finding an employer and you're saying, hey, I have a problem, and that's problems that I need no money. So I'm going to trade my skills and things, and you're going to sell my skills and services to some other larger thing and some big team that you're going to organize, and blah da da da. But like when you start a business, then you're solving other people's problems versus solving your own problems. And solving other people's problems is more scalable and generally produces more yield.
To add
Um,
another data point here for you, one of the things
yes.
he talks about is that it's super cool if you can solve your own problem.
Yeah.
However, that's not valuable because no one's giving you value for the thing you're solving, which
Yep.
is you then have to take that one step further, which is you're going to get value solving your problems if you're able to solve those problems for other people.
Yes.
It kind of goes back to the idea that he was driving at in the beginning of the chapter, which is that, like, yes, capitalism is a large reason why money works the way it does, because it is a voluntary exchange of goods and services for other goods and services, or some sort of currency, even if it's as terrible as fiat. It's that you have to be able to pitch this thing and make a thing that's good enough to be pitched to the other people, and then go do it. Which is like, solving problems for you is cool, but then solving problems for other people is the difference between having a hobby versus a business.
Yes. Oh, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. If other people will pay you the same money to do the thing that you already wanted to do, then it's like, congratulations. And odds are, like, whatever the problem is that you're having, somebody else probably has it too. So if you can find a way to find those people, and you can then, so you do the outreach, you generate the leads, and then you do the sale where you convince these people, like, hey, you've got this problem, I can solve it. You want to give me some money for this whole little process here. I think that's basically the idea of like small business stuff. I don't know. What do you? So Sam, you are a small business owner, Farmer J. I know that you do work you do like electrical work for other people. Zenith, you do your team leading stuff and project management. Do you guys, and Nate, you do the the pest control stuff, and Mrs. McGettit is a lovely producer, as well as, oh shoot, we actually, I don't, we can't say that on the air, I don't think, about your potential job offers and things, because it's not legit or nothing, or it's not gone through yet. Anyways, I'm going to shut up talking about that. But you're an excellent mother and spouse to Mr. McGettit as well. So we've all got these problem solving skills. Do you guys ever think about, like, how can I scale up my problem solving skills to convince other people that, like, the thing that I'm doing is worth their time and their money? Like, Nate, have you ever thought about opening up your own, like, pest control thing or solving a problem in that respect? Farmer J, have you thought about, like, doing your own little like electrician practice somewhere? Or like Zenith, have you ever ever think about being a consultant or something along those lines? I've toyed with the idea of doing firearms instruction for people, because that's something that I enjoy doing a lot, is shooting and teaching as well. But like, so somebody talk about your dreams and your perspective, like things that you're going to do with your time. And this is another thing that I think about with Hexaco. I'll shut up here in a second. Is like, if we've got all these Hexicans that got all this money, and then we're all like, yay, we're all rich, we're gonna go to an island called Hexaco, and then we all show up at this island, it's just a bunch of rich people with money. It's like, we're gonna still have problems, like, how the fuck do we solve these problems? Who's gonna be the guy, like, making coffee in Hexaco? Who's gonna be the guy framing the houses? Who's gonna be the guy teaching the marksmanship? Who's gonna be the guy fixing the wires, or spraying the pest control, or managing the projects, or whatever the heck, right? Like, but
Farmer
somebody
J
hop
will
in here.
round up a crew from Home Depot.
Yeah. Farmer J is gonna build a Home Depot just so he can hang out in front. Bro, you gotta get a taco truck in front of that Home Depot, man. That's the way to do it. I fucking love that shit. That would be crazy.
Taco trucks are awesome. To
You'd
be
be
fair,
Farmer J's Tacos. You'd be like Trejo's Tacos. Is that down there where you're at? I don't want to. Dang it. Enough
Yeah,
enough
fuck
of this.
Trejo.
Fuck. All right. Okay, we're not gonna make any
That's all
no.
I'm gonna say about him. I made him once personally. Fuck that guy. That's all I'll say about that.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have any dreams of the small
Yes.
businesses that they're gonna own? Sam, take it away.
I don't know, for the whole like Hexaco thing. Unfortunately, if I end up in Hexaco and I'm building houses, it's going to have to give Nate some other kind of job or dream to chase after, because like the way I build houses, that we're not going to need pest control because there ain't good pests aren't going to
That's
be a
not how that
problem.
works, man. I can go to one of your best built houses and I will find something.
Oh
There's
no,
a reason I'm a master
they get
tech,
in
man.
there
I'm master
before you
license
close
over
up the
here.
walls. The pests are in there before you finish closing up them walls.
Yeah, not to mention the pests. The main issues with pests is they tend to eat away at things over the years. So even if you build it off of something perfect and beautiful 10 years down the road, things happen. So
It's like a straight up concrete house, nothing edible. No,
The ants will
there you
get in.
go, Will.
Mexico's
The
gonna be
ants will get in.
looking like freaking like some Eastern comm block place with like
We all
gigantic
just
high
live in
rise
small
apartments.
prisons.
Yep.
They're
Joke on
purely
you guys.
cement. That's
Richard
basically what
Hart's
a
they,
prison
dream.
is.
oh, they have pests in prisons, I believe. I believe there's
I believe
rats,
there might be one. Might be one or
cockroaches, and
two.
all
But no,
sorts of
for real,
wonderful creatures.
though, dreams and things. What do you guys think would be a good thing to do with your time or with your hobbies? Like, what kind of skills could you trade with the community, like for fun or for money or whatever? Like, we can't be a whole bunch of rich people in Hexaco with just a bunch of money, nothing to do. We either got to like start our own businesses in Hexaco and then import non-Hexicans
Yeah. Well,
to come
my
and like,
particular skill is I'm an inside wireman. I can wire
yep,
buildings from start
yep,
to finish. I've worked on power plants, airports, stadiums, just basically anything that has to do with electrical and buildings,
hmm
solar farms, all that stuff. That's that's pretty much what I do. But yeah, like the world always needs electricity, so that's one skill set that I have that's useful for at least till I die. Maybe robots and AI will take over after that, but for now, you need people to actually wire stuff up. People seem to like lights and have their computers work and stuff and their AC systems plugged in.
yep. Yeah, people don't often think about the stuff hidden in the walls, like the pipes and the wires, man. That fucking makes the houses go round. They're very boring without pipes and wires.
Yeah, you'd
That's
be
a
amazed at stuff that's behind walls. Like most people
oh
don't
yeah.
actually they'll walk into their house and they don't realize the stuff
We
that's
all
inside their walls to give them the luxuries that we have now. As far
Oh,
as
you're talking about that. I thought you were talking about something else.
I
oh
thought that
stuff
yeah,
like that.
Nate's got all kinds of stuff he finds in walls.
You make it sound like
There's those
watching.
too. Even in
it's like
new builds.
that church over in Texas somewhere where the dude like had just money stashed all up in the walls that he's been collecting from collectionals. There's a oh man, there's a part of this chapter that talks about like churches and tithing. We might have enough time to hop into that one after this, but let's talk about our dreams first. Something a nice pretty. So farmer, would you be like? Is that something that you enjoy doing? Is it like a fun purpose and passion? You think?
I do like doing the electrical.
hmm
I've tried branching out on my own, but it's something I really don't like. Like actually going out there chasing the work. I mean, probably Sam could tell you how difficult that is and how difficult some customers can be. Uh,
Yeah.
if it, when you're just working for somebody, you just show up. That when you're on the contracting side, it's very stressful, very complicated. The customers are always changing their mind. You're always having to chase after the money. You're always trying to keep up with the schedule, getting paid 50% as the work's done. Or can I have 50% of my money now? And there's holding up. There's always all these problems. But it is I do take pride in actually building stuff and driving by these things I worked on and say, hey, I worked on that. And I'm pretty sure when Will sees those big towers, he's gonna like, hey, I worked on that.
Yep. Yep. There's 4 of them so far. I hope to stack more.
And there you stack them all.
That's excellent. Zenith, what about you, bro? Would you think you might be a project manager consultant one day, or is there a different sort of thing? You've got something in the comments about the Hexaco book, so tie that in there if you can as well.
It's a little more of a hard transition, but I'll say this much. Similar to lawyers and governments, as a product manager, my primary export is paperwork. So I don't know how much value that has to people on its own. So, yeah, but me personally, the thing that I have been, I guess, sort of trained or cultivated to do, partly at taxpayer expense, so thank you everyone for my training, is to lead teams. And not necessarily build anything in particular, but problem solve and try to acquire new capabilities as an engineer. So I also personally, not to toot my own horn a little too much here, but I think I'm a fantastic chef. However, at the same time, I understand that cooking at scale for other people is a very, very different game than cooking a meal for 4 people in your kitchen. So, what I love to, the thing that I want to do is I want to put teams together to accomplish things. It, as generalized as that sounds, that's honestly one of the things that I've loved doing the most. Whether I was back on the ship and I just had a few crazy guys who helped weld pipes with me, and I helped them grind stuff down when I could because I wasn't certified to do the welding. I definitely did some welding. To now, I pretty much organize teams of disparate people who want me to solve their problems and put together plans and curate the drawings and designs and actually go through construction. Like, yeah, it's. Unfortunately, my skill does not actually physically produce the thing itself, but it organizes the people that produce things. So
That's
I'm
still
one
important.
of those. It is, but at the same time, it's fun to shake your fist at me and say, though, you're one of them damn middle managers.
Bro, well, what's that dude from like all the Oceans movies? Like, I'm putting together a heist. I need a team. I got a knives guy. I've got my
Team.
electric guy. I've got my skateboarding guy. I've got my contortionist guy. Like, I've got my hacker dude. Whatever. I'm putting
Dude, I mean,
together a
everybody
team.
would love to be Danny Ocean because, like, does he put the
Yes.
team together? Yes. Also, at the same time, he does partake a little bit in the heist itself. So,
Mhm.
organizing people is cool. However, at the same time, you got to have some baseline skills. So it's like, did I run the team of welders? Yes. Could they could run laps around me any day, all day. At the same time, though, I know a thing or two about a thing or two. That's pretty much it. All right, hard
Basically,
transition.
Project
the point-
managers, expensive babysitting. You look after a bunch of grown men that are a bunch of babies.
Yeah,
Yep,
and the
manage
unfortunate-
budget time and that the Gantt chart, aka the chart of lies. We'll say this gets
Yes.
done at this time. Never does. Anyways, I'm gonna hard transition to the final point that I wanted to talk about for the book. Will,
Yes.
this is actually something you brought up previously. The idea of Hexaco, or an island of rich people. There are 2 ways to interpret that. I personally am seeing one of what I think is the more negative context of it, which is that I currently reside at a undisclosed location. However, this is a very odd place to be in because I live in a community where there's a lot of wealthy people. However, they don't really spend a lot of their money, which means that there's not a lot of business activity in the local area. This goes to one of the points that Richard talked about in the book, which is the velocity of money, or the money multiplying effect, which is he compares the United States and China. The United States, we're very high earners, but we're also very high spenders, and that allows for that economic growth because some single $100 bill can touch upwards of like 8, 9, 10 people in one revolution, creating all these different goods and services. And then conversely, if you go to China, where like people save a lot more than they spend, it means that that same dollar is not going to touch as many people. So that multiplying effect of money you get is not going to have as much of that multiplication effect. So with your theoretical island of Hexaco, if you have a lot of rich people together, they have to be willing to spend on each other. Otherwise, you're not going to get much activity in your area, and you're also not going to get much of a wealth multiplier amongst it. So I guess one of the things that Richard's tried to promote in this one is like building wealth is important, but also at the same time, what good is wealth if you're not going to spend it?
Man, my screen is glitching out real hard right now. I agree.
Yeah,
So
you're frozen.
it is like, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear
No.
you.
Yep,
I
we can
can't
hear
hear
you.
Okay, sweet, but you cannot see me. All right, I cannot see nor hear you guys. My screen is black, so I'm kind of just doing this off the rip here. You were talking about China and the United States.
The velocity of money, which is that
Yeah.
it's one of the first ideas Richard talks about in the book, which is that like saving money purely for the purpose of saving money really doesn't do you any good. The point of being wealthy is so that you can utilize your wealth and spend it and experience all the things you can get with it. Or conversely, one of the last ideas he talks about in the book or in the chapter is passing that on to other people through like a trust, real estate, that sort of thing. So it's like saving money is cool. However, at the same time, the point of saving the money is to be able to utilize the money at some point.
Yeah, like you said, like here in America, we have a very high service industry. So most people with money in this country, they spend a lot of money employing their people or contracting out services, whether it be their laundry service, maids, meal prep. Like they spend their money out, as to opposed to other places they hoard it and like I said, there isn't that loop that keeps going where the money keeps flowing. It just kind of stays localized in one place.
It's
Yeah.
a reason why they call it currency, because it's current, right? It flows. And ultimately, this is the way that you need to look at it, right? If you're wealthy, you want to spend your money on buying your time back. So you spend your money on your bills and things that allows for a more luxurious life. So that way you don't have to go work a job, aka your life energy, to then earn money, to then receive money for that, right? But then you also pay services like moi over here to come out to your house, take care of pests for you, because I'm the one who has spent my life energy learning about this stuff and who will come out and take care of the house. That way, what these people can do with the money is simply pay me, and then they can go about doing whatever experience that they want for the day, right? That's ultimately what, I mean, if you really boil it down, we human beings gather resources to then not have to gather resources, so we can instead have experiences in the short life that we live.
That's a
Excellent
good
points,
way to put
gentlemen.
Yeah,
I'm
people
gonna
are
try to
scared of animals, so they'll pay Nate. And electricity, they're scared of electricity too for some reason. Just
Sometimes
never
if you
heard
cross the
anybody.
two, they take care of each other, though. So
Oh, they do.
yeah. So to square this circle, it might be a bit of a oxymoron or a contrarian idea here, which is that we want to build wealth primarily by saving and investing. However, at the same time, the lifeblood and economy is spending, and you want to live in a thriving economy so that you can make good money to invest. So it seems contradictory. However, at the same time, I think this is where we got to bring back in Alex Ramosi, and then also the Millionaire Next Door, which is, if we go back to the Millionaire Next Door, one of the things we talked about was that if you looked at the wealthy, one of the things that they spend heavily on is education, investment, and taking care of their family and like health stuff. So those are 4 very lucrative businesses potentially, because going to Alex Ramosi, one of his famous points was, if you want to make more money, have richer clients. So figure out where wealth is in your system, and then kind of like, I think it's an Andrew Tate-ism, which is that it's raining money outside. All you got to do is step outside and hold up the bag. You got to find a way to get in the way of where money is already flowing. So for folks out there, medical practitioners, investment advice, there you go. Might be some
Relationship
professions.
gurus.
Zenith, I got a point to come at you with.
Hit me, Sam. Hit me.
So I just finished watching The Economic Machine, How the Economic Machine Works by Ray Dalio. 10 out of 10 recommend that for all these people, right? And so here's what I'm thinking, Zenith, is the wealthy people, what their wealth is in assets or it's in cash, right? They don't need to spend either one of those two things to buy things and stimulate the market. They can spend credit and still stimulate the market.
There
So
we go.
there you go.
I'm about to drop that link in the chat because you dropped that for me. How the Economic Machine Works. Economics 101 by Ray Dalio. I'm going to place that. There's a quick little link in the YouTube description. Wow, that is a long link. But the folks at home have it now. Speaking of the folks at home, we're going to go ahead and start doing stream wrap up, because the DGen Roundtable, as far as I'm aware, will be hosting the F and Hangout. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, ducks and squirrels, where can the folks at home find you, and what have you got going on in the near future for people to look forward to? Mr. Zenith, start us off.
Sure, I definitely can. I'm going to have one final thought. So when we're talking about the chapter of money, this is very much about money and business itself. One of the things that is not taken into account in this chapter, or any of the stuff we've talked about in particular, is the idea that your life is more than money. Your life is made up of all the experiences and people and time that you spend. I'm not going to necessarily recommend 6 hours of podcast, but Nick Freitas, he's actually a congressman in the House of Delegates for Virginia. He runs a podcast. He actually had a really great episode today. And one of the things he talks about when it comes to libertarians versus conservatives is that sometimes libertarians fall into this idea that people are just economic widgets purely and nothing more, nothing less. You just want a low tax, low regulation environment and everything will sort itself out. Obviously, we've seen that people are much more than that, because you have to live with values, and at the end of the day, you're going to worship something, whether it's a religion, a money, some activity. You're going to find some sort of meaning in your life. So life is more than just money, and understand that money itself really is just a tool or a vehicle that you can use to do other things in your life. So this chapter definitely looked at money, business, investment, that kind of stuff. However, understand that there's another layer to this that didn't get tied in exactly, and you got to figure that out, which is that sometimes you're going to make economically suboptimal or negative value plays, but you're doing it for a value that is not numerical or intrinsic. You're doing it for some sort of good or value that you want to see in the world that ultimately is going to cost money and take time and effort to produce. So that's what I got. Life is more than money. Anyways, I am Zenith. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ZenithDI. We just talked about Ray Dalio. By the way, I think I actually have a book recommendation. Crap. I think it's from Bradley. Bradley recommended the Changing World Order by Ray. Changing World Order by Ray Dalio. If we get enough comments on it, we'll cover that one next week for my book club. Same time every Friday. And then additionally, we have F and Hangout coming up. We have the usual show on Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time for all of our shows. And I believe we even have a special guest episode with Maddie Allen for this next Wednesday. That is what I got. We're going to pass it over to Sam. Where can the people find you at, my man?
Hello, you people can find me at Linktree/Samuel D. Stevenson with a V. And if you want to see all of the stuff that I do to try to contribute to making the world a better place, because maybe I'm already rich with crypto, maybe I'm not. But hey, if I was or wasn't, I would be building people stuff. So if you want to learn about construction, then check it out. Bungalows for Bachelors. You can YouTube it or just go to t.me/BFB Success and join our community where we talk about fun construction things.
Excellent. Mr. Nate, where can the folks find you? What you got going on in the near future, my friend?
Yeah, I am the Ascending Man, Nate McGettit. And you can go ahead and reach me at my link tree, bam, right there in the chat. Yeah, hit me up if you're worried about your portfolios or anything. I do consultations here. I've been kind of slowing them down a little bit because there's a lot of things going on. But currently I'm in the process. Actually, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I am currently in the process of trying to get some phantom peeps on over to our special guests, which would be really fun. However, yes, I did confirm Maddie for Wednesday. He's got a brand new project he's trying to come up with right now. It's quite an interesting little project. He's trying to set a new narrative for Pulse Chain because he feels that's kind of what's needed right now. And Maddie is he's really adept at knowing kind of like what it is that the community needs. So, we completely support him and he's very trustworthy. We also have some interesting things going on over at the Forge, in which you're actually able to go in and you're able to start commenting on projects that are in there. There's currently 7 of them. One of them is from our very own Apex Hex, aka Jeff from the DGen Roundtable. He actually has the most popular and highly rated project right now. I am going to be helping him out with that. So yeah, we were talking all of today about ways that we're able to improve his Pulse farm. That's what he's calling it, Pulse farm. And yeah, there's a lot of really, really, really cool things coming on with that. So yeah, we're going to be starting to look for to fundraise, quite frankly, to get this project off the ground. So good things coming, guys. Go check it out. The Forge.
Excellent. I like it. Farmer Jay, where can the folks find you and what have you got going on in the near future, my friend?
I got nothing going on at the moment. I'm waiting on the next project for my job. So I'll probably be hanging out at the DGen Roundtable chat down there. Point at it, Sam. Point at it. At the QR code down there. Yes. Just hanging out with you fellas. But other than that, I'll just be on this book club whenever you guys are on.
Hell yeah. We like to have you, brother. We like to have you. Excellent. Mrs. Producer, have you got anything in the works? Where can the folks find you? And yeah.
I think you guys have just about covered everything that we've got coming up. The Sunday show, and then I believe Maddie's going to be on with us next Wednesday. I think Nate said that, but not positive. Yeah, and then other than that, whatever book we've got next Friday, and so on and so forth. As for finding me, if you want to talk to me for any weird, wacky reason, I am in the DGen Roundtable Telegram, and I'm pretty responsive, and I do help getting connected to the guys. If you are struggling to get into anybody's, DMs into their site to get a conversation going, I can probably help with that too. But yeah, that's about it for me.
Excelente. Well, I have dropped the bit.ly link for folks to join the DGen Roundtable Telegram. It is free for now. It will not always be free. Not that it's going to be exorbitantly expensive, but like as the bull run starts picking up, we need to keep these scammers out, and in order to do that, we have to charge some money. Zenith has a comment that if you want the Changing World Order by Ray Dalio for next week's book club, let me know in the Telegram, and you
Let's
guys
just
can do
do
that.
it. Let's
As a
do
matter
it.
of fact, speaking of the Telegram, I should shill the fact that we have a book club Telegram. It's got 22 members in it. The link is t.me/DGen Book Club, and that is the DGen Roundtable Book Club. It's mostly an archive, but there's occasionally you'll find notes in there. I post in links and stuff for like finding synopses of books that we cover. Sometimes when I like ask Chat GPT questions about the books when I don't think I've read it well enough, then I'll post those results in there as well, and things of that nature. We've also got Chocolate Taint in the in the comments. Stream raid F and Hangout in 15 minutes. Absolutely right, guys. Go on over to the Discourse Syndicate and join us on the F and Hangout. You will see us over there, or at least some of us. I'm guessing that Josh is hosting, or Zenith is hosting, or something along those lines. That's generally how it goes. Um,
I will
but
be
yeah,
there as well. And
Nate will be there.
Yep, I will be there. Josh list Jocklick Taint. Is that what
Yep.
you're about to say?
Yep, Josh will be there. Fuck it, I'll go on over there as well. We'll do a proper stream it. And if someone needs to leave to get like people that are not DGen Roundtable on the show, because if we're just the only ones on there and then like no one else shows up, it'll be awesome. But if a lot of people want to hop in, then I'll squeeze on out to make room for folks that want to talk about things. But yeah, you guys can find us on over at the Discourse Syndicate. Yes, Alon Fizame, you did make it on time, indeed, just barely. We're doing closing out segments here. You guys can find me and everything that I do over at Linktree/Will Stevenson. And like I had said before, you guys can join the DGen Book Club. You can join the DGen Roundtable chat. Hop on over into I've got this little link thing right here. Man, I always get these like camera angles backwards, but t.me/hex_meetup. That is where you can go meet up with other Hexicans. We had an outstanding meetup over in Missouri just a little bit ago over the last weekend. That was kick ass. Big shout out to Paul Sachs for organizing that and doing all the legwork. I was rolling through and I was like, hey, bro, y'all want to hang out? And he was like, hell yeah, man. I'll get the crew together. And fucking A, right. He got the crew together. We hung out over there. We had an awesome time. I had originally thought it was gonna be like, oh yeah, it'll be like a little hour hangout, whatever. We were in that freaking bar for like 4 hours, dude, just shooting the shit, having a great old time. But if you guys want to meet other Hexicans, then what you need to do is you need to go to t.me/hex_meetup. That is the place to go. That is where you can find all of the other Hexicans. You go in there, you go to the Start Here channel, you read through the Start Here, and then if you want to introduce yourself, you go to the Introductions channel, you talk about where you are, you talk about what you like to do. You basically just say, hey, here I am. If you guys want to hang out, hit me up or whatever. And then you hop on into the rooms wherever you want to talk to people. Like there's a Missouri room, there's a California room, there's a Sydney, Australia room, there's a freaking UK room. There's all sorts of rooms for all sorts of people. And some of us like to just post music in the music room and yeah, things of that nature. So join all these telegrams, hang out, come chat, say hi. Other than that, we appreciate you guys spending all your super duper valuable time with us. Mrs. Producer, get that trigger finger ready. We know that time is your most valuable asset. And so we want to thank you for spending that most valuable asset with us. And with that, I would like to make sure to remind you guys to DGen responsibly.